Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're taking a really close look at the start of someone's day.
Yeah, that's right. We've got this really detailed picture of one person's morning routine. Everything from waking up right through to heading out the door.
And our goal here in this deep dive, it's not just to list what they do. We want to get into the smaller steps,
Yeah.
the quiet habits.
Exactly. And try to figure out what these things might mean for this person as they, well, get ready for their day.
It's about seeing the feeling behind it all, the intention maybe, and those little moments that sort of build the foundation for the day ahead just based on the details we have.
Precisely. It's the small stuff that often adds up.
Okay, let's get into it then. Let's unpack this routine, starting right at the very beginning, waking up.
Right. So the information we have suggests they usually wake up around 7:30 in the morning.
And it sounds quite gentle, actually, a soft buzzing alarm nearby, not something really loud.
Yeah, exactly. Not a sudden shock to the system. And, well, like a lot of us, they sometimes hit snooze.
Yeah.
One of those just 5 more minutes.
Huh? Yeah, that sounds familiar, that little bit of lingering in the warmth.
Totally. But they do get up eventually. They sit up, have a stretch, and notice the sunlight coming through the curtains. It feels like they take a beat, just being there.
Described as cozy, the bed, the blanket warm, a real sense of comfort in that space still.
Definitely. And then their feet hit the floor.
Ah, yes. The first physical sensation outside the bed is this soft rug.
And they actually highlight this detail. It's noted that this specific feeling, the softness, makes getting out of bed just a little bit easier.
Wow, okay. So a small comfort right at the start. It shows how these tiny sensory things can kind of ease a transition, doesn't it?
It really does.
What happens right after that? Do they head straight out?
Actually, no. Before even leaving the bedroom, they make the bed. This is mentioned as a really consistent habit.
Okay, takes just a minute or two, pulling up the blanket, smoothing it, fluffing the pillows.
Yeah, and if there's an extra blanket, folding it neatly at the end.
And the feeling they get from this is important, you said.
Seems so. It makes the room feel tidier straight away. It gives
Wow.
them a sense of satisfaction.
So it's less about how it looks for others, maybe, and more about creating that feeling of order for themselves right at the beginning of the day.
Exactly. Preparing the space to sort of welcome them back later. It's a small action, but it feels like it has a bigger meaning attached, a tiny sense of completion.
Right, that makes sense. Okay, so bedroom sorted, where to next? The bathroom.
To the bathroom, yes.
Yeah,
And the transition involves another distinct feeling,
which is?
the cold tile floor. They actually call it a little wake-up call after the warmth and softness of the bedroom.
That contrast definitely wakes you up a bit more. And the bathroom itself.
It's described as quiet, still. That early morning quiet, a calm environment.
Okay. And what's the first thing they do there?
First action is brushing their teeth, standard stuff. They mention using minty toothpaste, noting that sharp, refreshing smell.
And while they're brushing, they glance in the mirror, see the messy hair, the sleepy eyes.
Right. And this moment, seeing their normal everyday self, apparently makes them smile.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it seems like just a simple moment of acceptance.
Yeah.
Starting the day without any pressure to look, perfect immediately.
A bit of self-kindness there. So after brushing,
They rinse, then wash their face with cool water.
that cool splash is mentioned specifically.
Yes, as waking them up completely and feeling good, refreshing after sleep.
Then a quick skincare step. Cleanser, moisturizer.
A gentle cleanser, yeah, and a light moisturizer. And they describe rubbing it in, but also taking a moment
A moment for what?
to just breathe
Yeah.
and enjoy the quiet in the bathroom.
Okay. Even if the day ahead is busy, they call this a small act of self-care, building that calm moment into a practical step.
Exactly. It shows how you can weave those little bits of self-attention into the necessary parts of getting ready.
That's a great point. What else in the bathroom?
Before leaving, they wash their hands. And the soap scent is mentioned.
Floral, apparently. It lingers. Another small sensory detail.
Yes. These little details seem to anchor the person in the present moment, within the routine itself.
Okay, so bathroom routine done. Back to the bedroom, is it, for getting dressed?
That's right. Back to the bedroom, open the wardrobe.
And choosing clothes depends on, the weather or maybe just their mood that day.
Exactly. They give examples, like if it's chilly, maybe reaching for a warm, soft sweater. They mention loving the feel of thick fabric.
Paired with jeans, thick socks, makes sense.
Or on warmer days, something lighter. A comfy t-shirt, maybe a loose blouse, cotton trousers.
The main thing seems to be comfort, Ease. Simple go-to outfits.
Comfort definitely seems key for starting the day feeling good. They usually sit on the bed to put on socks and shoes, sometimes slippers first around the house.
And then, before leaving the room for good, a final mirror check.
Yeah, but it's framed as not being about perfection, more about feeling a little more prepared, smoothing wrinkles, maybe tying hair back.
Just that final adjustment to feel ready to face the rest of the house and eventually the world. That preparedness theme again.
It seems quite important, yes.
And we already mentioned making the bed, but it's worth just noting again how consistent that seems to be, always before leaving the bedroom.
Yes, it's definitely presented as a foundational part of starting the day in their personal space. Reinforces that tidiness, that sense of completion we talked about earlier.
Setting the tone for the physical environment. Okay, where does the routine lead them after the bedroom?
Down to the kitchen. And the very first thing there, coffee.
The coffee ritual. The kitchen sounds peaceful, too quiet, soft morning light.
It does. And the coffee routine itself is described as feeling like second nature.
Like filling the kettle, putting it on the stove, the sounds, the flame, the hum, all very familiar.
Very much so. And while the water's heating, they get out their favorite mug.
Which is described how?
Simple, but comforting. And just the right size to wrap their hands around. You know that feeling.
I do, and they use a French press.
Yeah. Looks well loved, maybe a fit foggy glass. They measure out the coffee grounds.
And the smell is mentioned again. Earthy, rich, making them actually look forward to drinking it, that sensory anticipation.
Yes, the aroma is definitely part of the whole experience. Kettle whistles, flame off, pour the hot water over the grounds, watching the steam rise.
Stirring gently, lid on, letting it brew. What do they do during those few minutes while it's brewing?
Small tasks, like putting away a few dishes left from the night before or just tidying the counter a bit.
Ah, okay. Using that waiting time productively, not just standing there.
Seems like it. Turning a passive wait into a little active tidying. Then press the plunger, pour the coffee.
Sometimes with milk, sometimes black. And the key moment, that first sip.
Yes, taking that first slow sip, often just leaning against the counter.
And they describe the warmth spreading and how in that exact moment, everything feels calm.
It's called one of the best parts of my morning.
Wow. So it's clear this isn't just about caffeine. It's a deliberate pause, isn't it? A sensory anchor, a moment of real peace before things get going.
Absolutely. It seems to ground them.
Okay, so after that really important coffee moment, then it's breakfast time. Kept simple and easy, you said.
Yeah, seems like it. Check the pantry. Often it's toast.
Popping bread in the toaster. That quiet hum, the smell of the warm bread. Very homey.
Right. While it's toasting, they get a plate, butter, maybe jam or honey. Having that simple choice is noted as being comforting in itself.
And the sound of the toast popping up described as cheerful. Then spreading the butter, watching it melt.
But it's all very sensory again, isn't it? Other options mentioned are things like cereal with cold milk or maybe oatmeal made on the stove, stirring it, adding toppings.
So the theme is definitely easy, comfortable food choices. They sit down at the table with their plate and mug.
Another quiet moment, it seems. While they eat, sip coffee, maybe they glance at their phone, maybe just look out the window.
Sort of gently easing into thinking about the day rather than a sudden jump into tasks or news.
Exactly. A soft transition period, fueled by simple food and that lovely coffee.
What happens after breakfast is finished?
Next up is checking the weather. They call it a small part of the routine, but note that it makes a difference.
How do they check? Phone app.
Usually, yeah. Using their phone, the weather app, seeing the little symbols, sun, clouds, raindrops.
And their reaction to the forecast actually matters for their planning, right?
Definitely. Smiling if it's sunny, making a mental note about needing a raincoat if it looks like rain, thinking about layers if it's cold. It directly influences getting ready later.
Sometimes, though, they don't use the phone. They just look outside.
You sometimes just pull back the curtain, see the sky for themselves. Blue sky, gray clouds. The color gives a feel for the day.
And they appreciate how the light changes with the weather, giving each day a unique feel. That shows a nice awareness.
It does. And they might even step out onto a balcony, if they have one, or just open a window to feel the air.
Get some fresh air. Does that wake them up more?
They say it does, yeah. And they notice the sounds then, too. Birds, maybe traffic starting up.
It's described as grounding, peaceful, that connection with the outside.
Yeah. So checking the weather isn't just about practicality, like what coat to wear. It's also framed as a sort of quick check-in with the world outside.
Helping them feel connected and prepared as they transition focus outwards.
Right. Moving from the quiet inside world towards the day outside.
Okay, after these personal moments, coffee, breakfast, checking the world outside, they tackle some small tasks around the house.
Yes. Seems like keeping the space feeling calm and organized is a recurring theme. Watering the plants is one example.
Getting a watering can, checking the plants on the windowsill, noticing how they react.
They describe this as relaxing, almost like a conversation with nature. A quiet, nurturing little job.
Nice. What else? Maybe washing up breakfast dishes?
Yeah. Or any left from the night before. The warm water, the bubbles, even that is noted as feeling soothing, keeping the kitchen counter clear and fresh.
Emptying the trash is another quick one mentioned.
Simple chore. Tie the bag, new one in. And sometimes, if it's nice out, they take the bag right outside to the main bin.
Another little chance for fresh air and movement.
Exactly. And if there's a bit more time, maybe a quick tidy in the living area, folding a blanket left on the sofa, straightening magazines.
Just aiming for that cozy, lived-in vibe, not like perfectly sterile.
Right. These small tasks, they don't take long, but they seem to add to that feeling that the space is ready for the day, just like they're getting themselves ready.
They solidify that sense of calm and order that started way back with making the bed, don't they?
They really do. It's an active way of caring for their environment alongside themselves.
Okay, chores done. What's next? Is it planning?
Yes. After those practical tasks, they take a few minutes to plan the day ahead.
How do they do that?
Usually with a simple notebook. They sit down, probably still with their coffee.
Writing the date that's mentioned as satisfying, seeing the blank space.
Yeah, like a fresh start on the page.
Yeah.
Then they think about what needs doing. Errands, maybe a project, personal stuff.
And they write a to-do list.
Often, yes. But importantly, they seem to break things down into smaller steps. Like, if groceries are needed, check the fridge first, then write the list, then plan when to go.
Breaking it down makes it feel less overwhelming, I guess. More manageable.
Absolutely, gives a clearer path. And a really key point mentioned is that they include enjoyable things on the list too.
Oh, like what?
Things like planning to take a walk, or read for a bit, or call a friend. It balances the must-dos with things to actually look forward to.
That's smart. Building pleasure into the plan intentionally, not just focusing on obligations.
Exactly. And sometimes they don't even write it all down. They just kind of think through the day, picture how it might go.
And after this planning time, whether it's written or just mental, how do they feel?
They describe feeling a little more grounded.
It gives a sense of direction, maybe, but flexible. Not like a super rigid schedule they have to stick to perfectly.
That's the impression, yes. Setting intentions, feeling prepared, but without adding pressure.
Okay, so the morning is winding down now. They start getting ready to actually leave the house.
That's the final phase, yes.
Yeah.
They might do one last check of the weather forecast, just to be sure their outfit choice is right. Grab sunglasses if needed, or a scarf jacket if it's cold.
Then packing their bag, what are the essentials?
Phone, wallet, keys. Those are the absolute must-haves. Then, depending on the day, they might add a water bottle, maybe a snack, a book for waiting times, or that notebook they use for planning.
Sensible.
Yeah.
And another quick mirror check before heading out.
Yeah, again, just to feel right, not about perfection. Shoes tied, hair okay, no stray toothpaste, simple things.
That final little check to feel confident. And they do a quick walkthrough of the house, too.
Seems like a habit for peace of mind. Making sure the stove's off, lights are out where they should be, windows closed.
Yeah, those little checks prevent that, did I leave the stove on, worry later in the day.
Exactly. It's like securing the calm space they've just prepared before they leave it. Then, finally, shoes on by the door, grab the bag, step outside.
And that moment, stepping outside into the fresh air, that's described as when the day officially started.
Yes, that's the physical transition point, from the prepared inner world to the external day that's waiting. They close the door, feeling, as it says, ready for whatever the day brings.
You know, looking back at all these steps, it's really fascinating how these actions that seem quite small on their own.
Like feeling the rug, making the bed, that first coffee sip.
Yeah, or watering the plants, the quick tidy, the planning. They all add up to something bigger, don't they?
They absolutely weave together. They seem to create a specific feeling or a state of being. Calm, ready, organized. It feels less about the individual task and more about the overall effect on their mindset.
And the sensory details are so important throughout. That soft buzz, the cold tile, the minty smell, the sound of toast, the warm fabric, the coffee aroma.
Those details really ground them in the moment, don't they? They make the routine feel personal, alive, not just like ticking off a checklist.
And there's a real balance that comes through. It's a mix of, practical things like getting dressed and planning.
Mixed with moments of self-care, like the skincare pause or the coffee ritual.
And also caring for their space, the tidying, the plants.
And then connecting with the outside world through the weather check or
Yeah.
stepping outside. It's quite holistic when you look at it all together.
It really is. It's not just about getting through the morning tasks. It seems very much about building in moments that support their well-being and their readiness for the day. This intentional structure really seems to set a particular tone.
A positive, calm, prepared tone for the whole day ahead, it seems.
So, reflecting on this whole deep dive into one person's morning, we've seen how all these thoughtful, often quite small actions can build up to create this powerful sense of readiness and calm.
Yeah, it really highlights that the start of the day isn't just something that happens to you. It's something you can actively shape moment by moment.
So, thinking about this routine we've just explored together, what's maybe one small thing, one detail from everything we talked about that particularly stood out to you listening?
Yeah, maybe there's a tiny habit or a
Yeah.
small moment. Perhaps it's sensory, like focusing on a smell or a feeling, or maybe a simple act of tidying or planning that you could try adding to your own morning routine just to see how it might change the way your day begins.
Definitely something to consider as you prepare for your own day tomorrow. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.